Welcome back to a brand new episode of Full Metal RPG. Today we got something real special. This is an actual play podcast featuring me, Brinta Carrion, and my homie, Richard. What up, playa?
Not much, man.
We've got co-host Gabe. Gabe's here. How you doing, bud?
Am I muted? I'm getting used to Zoom. Okay, no, it says I'm on mute. I'm doing great, dude. I got a chance to play with some of our awesome listeners last night. I had an amazing time playing, and now I am super stoked to roll dice myself because I can't just DM one night and then not play the next.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
Like peanut butter and jelly. I got to have both.
For real. And we also got a very special guest, podcast favorite, Christopher Great. What up, man?
So nice to be here. Hello.
Welcome back to the show, dude. It's been a long time since we've seen you.
It's been way too long.
Yeah, well, I mean, all things considered for sure, but even before that, it had been a hot minute. So you've been real busy since last time I saw you. I think last time I saw you, Great American Novel it was about to come out or had just come out, and since then you have Great American Witch, and then you've got like a kind of, I can't remember the name of it, unfortunately, because I'm a bad podcast host. But kind of like a swashbuckler pulp kind of thing on Kickstarter.
Yeah, an Indiana Jones game on Year Zero called Temples and Tombs. It has both. We have both temples and also tombs.
Awesome. Can't have one without the other. Yeah. And you actually dropped something on our Discord the other day saying that you were doing some kind of work in the fantasy space, which I suspect you were kind of cagey about that. So I suspect you're probably not going to mention that here, but you are doing some work.
Yes, I'm really excited about this project. I can't talk about it though because it's not fleshed out. And what if I can't deliver?
No, I totally understand.
But it is a fantasy heartbreaker, my first.
Oh, well, as we all know, fantasy heartbreakers, there's nothing quite like them. So today we're actually gathering to play some Rot Marches, which is our official Full Metal RPG Mork Borg West Marches campaign.
Yeah, let's all put our books in front of our faces.
Yeah, we're gonna one of these books is gonna get burned at some point.
That's right.
And probably mine. And yeah, so on our Discord channel for our patrons, I just felt like we needed something to make our patrons' lives like kind of like worth the contribution that they were making. We run this show and we have a lot of patrons who are just incredibly altruistic people, and they pledge us a lot of money to keep the show going. And I just felt so terrible taking the money every month. Like I'm just one of those kinds of guys. I like business. I'm not good at business. I'm better at art than at business. And so I was like, I got to give something back to these people who they come to the show and they just become our friends. You know what I'm saying? I want to give something back to my friends. I want that cycle to continue of giving, And so we set up the Mork Borg West Marches campaign. And so we're doing right now we're at the pledge level. We're doing like a once a month thing where we're getting a content developer to come on the show, play some Mork Borg with us. And Chris, you are the first, man. Thank you for coming on. That's awesome.
I didn't know I was the first. I thought this was just, you could get Chris on, I guess.
No. This is numero uno. This is numero
uno. That's great.
So now we're gonna play a little bit of Mork Borg, and I don't know. I have this feeling like we might be running kind of short because Gabe, did we mention that you were quitting at 1? Did we mention that?
I'm good to go whenever. I didn't necessarily say 1, 11, 12, 1, so I'm good for 3.
Okay, great. So I think we'll have time to get through the dungeon that I prepared. But we won't belabor it. The West Marches, if you're not familiar with the West Marches campaign style, what it requires is a town from which the player characters sally forth and they explore the landscape around them. So in our game, the characters all inhabit a place called the Alabaster City, which is being used as a penal colony after a long and bloody generational conflict. The area around the Alabaster City has been essentially blasted by magical war for decades and generations, as long as anybody can remember. So the characters, in order to like pay off various crimes that they've committed in their homeland, have been brought to the Alabaster City to tame the environment that surrounds it. And because we're playing Mork Borg, that environment is unrelentingly hostile to their continued existence. So we've played a couple sessions. I've played one. I ran one. Gabe ran one last night. This is technically session 3 of our West Marches campaign. If you would like to be involved, then we have lots of opportunities on our Discord. We have 4 GMs playing in American time zones. We have 1 GM running for GMT time zones. A pledge of $1 gets you access to a entire Discord server for us to run games, plus all the patron level content that you get for pledging Full Mill RPG, and it really helps out Full Mill RPG. And even, like right now, I was saying we should try to have 4 players in these games, and a couple of Full Mill RPG hosts couldn't make it. We could easily slot in a patron, no problem, to come play with, say, like a developer like Chris Gray. So if you're a fan of Chris Gray's work and you want to play games with guys like Chris Gray, we've talked to some other people. Mark Diaz Truman is going to come on the show at some point. Chris and his co-hosts from Darker Days Radio. For some reason, I was having a hard time saying the word Mike. Chris and Mike from Darker Days Radio are going to be coming on at some point. So if you're fans of these people's work, then you can come on and play fucking Mork with them. Anyway, so enough pitching from Brendan, enough shilling. Let's get to playing Mork Borg. What do you say?
Yeah.
I'm in.
All right. Killer. All right, so everybody has a character, is that right?
That's right.
Yep. Wonderful. Everybody's character's ready to rock. Nice. Let's go ahead and introduce our characters. I'd like to kind of just hear about who it is that we have here. So let's go ahead and start with our guest, Chris. If you want to tell us your character's name and kind of what your class is and like what you do, that's always helpful to me because I haven't seen these characters at all yet. It's as much a surprise to me as it is to anybody. So lay it on me, man.
I am Brinta. I was imprisoned for speaking the truth, taken at the odd hours of the night, thrown onto a ship and taken afar into this place. They call me heretical, but in fact, I am the only honest living member of this forsaken and doomed world.
Wow, nice. What class did you get from your character?
Heretical priest?
Heretical priest?
The class? Yeah.
And then, did they give you like a weapon? Did you get a weapon?
I have I have a knife.
A knife?
And, a small but vicious dog, which could count as a weapon. Yeah.
Cool.
His name is Isolation.
Is it really?
Nice.
Fucking A, I love this game. All right, great. Richard, why don't we go ahead and hear from you, man?
I'm Gotven. I am a gutter-born scum. I am small, and I carry a sword that looks like a claymore on my back. And I reach for it with my sore-covered hands. And I have this constant and persistent cough and sneeze and whine and the reason that I am here is for a minor theft. I was given 8 years for coughing in a magistrate's courtroom.
Awesome. Awesome, great. Gabe.
I am I am an esoteric hermit. And I basically thrive in chaos, shunned for essentially wanting to practice the darker magics and the darker side of life. I essentially have my own creepy cave where I do my own rituals that people aren't necessarily comfortable around. I have a short sword, and I have outfitted it with, instead of a normal short sword hilt, I decided to fit it with the hand of someone that crossed paths with me that I didn't really like what they said. So it's kind of an omen to anybody. Don't
Does
cross paths with me.
So wait, what is made of a hand?
Imagine a sword instead of a hilt. It's a human hand.
Oh wow, that's disturbing.
So you like shake hands with your sword?
Yeah, you can say that, or
Okay.
just grab it by the wrist.
All right.
I came up with it last night. I thought it sounded cool as fuck. So
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna roll with it.
It's kinda
It's got a
handy.
forearm
Yeah, for real.
still.
Yeah, there you
Okay,
go.
so you're like grabbing the forearm. Okay, that makes sense.
Kind of like this, you know.
Okay. All right.
Chris, do you know what house your services are owned by?
I do, but I didn't put them. Oh, here we go. House Electric.
Ooh, cool. Okay, and then Richard.
I have a large iron collar around my neck at all times from House. It starts with a D.
Destrier.
Destrier. Yeah, I didn't know how to pronounce it, so I was gonna let you do that.
And then Gabe.
House Zyzix, Notorious Sadists is what I got.
Nice.
Is that what you're asking for?
Yep.
Cool.
All right. So now I'm gonna go ahead and because whenever we run one of these sessions, you gotta see when will this agony end, and so we're gonna
Roll for doom.
roll on the calendar of Nethrubia, and nothing happens.
All right.
Cool. And then let's see. Let's see here. Gabe, where is my my Rot Marches pack? You should definitely know.
Me?
No,
Me? What I do?
I'm being ironical.
Oh.
All right. Alrighty. Okay, so now, the first time I ran for a group, I kind of made the game sort of like a little bit of a travelogue, and it was just like a lot of because I kind of feel like West Marches gives you an opportunity to do like a lot of kind of Lord of the Ringsy, like wandering around in forests and stuff. But I wanted this session to be a little bit more focused on the dungeon. So I have a little dungeon that I wrote up for you guys. I don't know how long it's going to take to play. We'll see entirely how long it takes to play by playing it. And we're gonna kind of jump to in media res on this one. You guys were gathered up in the night from the warren in which you make your shanties in the district of the Alabaster City known as Dog's Ass. And you were rousted by pain tamer ogres who pulled you from your beds as the dawn light was cresting over the horizon, and you were taken to a stable by a pain tamer carrying the colors of House Proctor. House Proctor has is a house known for its kind of like strangely almost sort of like fey nobility, and their color is actually like dishwater gray. So this ogre had tied around its wrist a long cloth, dyed gray but stained at the edges with filth. And when Brinta and Gotven arrived, they found his hand bound to a anvil by leather cords, and a House Proctor blacksmith was branding the inside of his forearm, saying, "Your contract's been bought out. You'll serve House Zyzix no more. You are now a Proctor man." And he lowered the white hot anvil onto the inside of your arm. You were told about an area far from here, a few days march. If you march solidly and you stay on the path and you remain committed to your destination, a simple 2 days march would get you to the borders of a strange festering swamp. Now, it has come to the attention of the inner circle of House Proctor that within this swamp is a strange tower. No one has seen the tower, but House Proctor knows that it is there. They know this because they have dreamed it. They have, each of them, in the night, suffered from the same sort of fuguish dream that through the mists of the swamp, they see rising up the silhouette of a tower in the distance, and circling above its pinnacle, they see a sky thick with ravens. Why have they seen this vision? Why has it been shared with them? They don't know. But fortunately, they have loyal dregs such as you to go forth and to find it for them and to tell them what's in it. So as the game begins, you find yourself having marched for 2 days at the edge of the swamp. It's trees kind of like bow before you, hanging heavy. The trunks of them are black and sort of sodden as the ground beneath your feet is thick with mud and trampled grass and moss. A strange stillness is in the air. You can hear kind of in the distance the sound of insects chittering and toads croaking, but otherwise there is a calm here. The place stinks of fetid standing water. Beginning with Brinta, could you describe your character, please? Can you tell us what we see when we see Brinta?
He seems like he hasn't had a decent meal in months. Very, very poor conditions. He is gaunt, pale. He has crystal blue eyes. It's really his only defining feature. Everything else is scraggly and malnourished. And he just wears the priest robes that he's always worn from another society that are all tattered and unwashed.
Cool. Gotven, when the other members of your party look at you, what do they see?
You see a small, you can't really determine the age, but the eyes are so cruel and worried. Their hands are caked with sores, and their greasy black hair falls down upon their leather jerkin next to what on a normal man would be a sword of small to average size. Looks like a two-handed long, looks like a Zweihander for him, and always just like ever snorting and coughing and hacking and just kind of disgusting in many ways. So.
Awesome. And your party, when they look upon you, what do they see?
So you basically see the only piece of his actual body, I guess I should say, is the only human part you can see is basically from the top of his nose up, as he wears kind of like a very form-fitting black robe. You can see his eyes, but they have been caked with just filth and dirt, almost kind of like a smear across his face. It would be very comparable to like if someone was to take black makeup and just kind of wipe it across your face. But he wears his hood up. He's got a face covering that is part of his hood. And again, this robe is black and form-fitting. And when it finally reaches his hand, he's kind of got these gloves that he's also outfitted in a not actual practical way, but it's almost like a stylistic way of like kind of like raven's claws. And he wears simple, just regular cloth slippers. And because of his traveling and all of this, they are just ripe with filth. Going near him, you can definitely tell that he's an unclean person due to his smell and whatnot. But overall, he has been relatively calm and quiet and just kind of focused for the duration of this trip. Kind of
All right.
holding on to the brand that he now has. So.
Yeah, I imagine that underneath these gloves, it itches. It itches and burns, inviting you to agitate it constantly. But doing so just exacerbates the pain and discomfort. So at Full Metal RPG, we like to run horrific dark games, and because we like to run horrific dark games, we always use safety tools. So this game definitely has some like mature content in it, and if you're listening to this ex post facto, if you're watching it now and you're thinking to yourself, well, I don't really want to see any mature content, then by all means you can go ahead and skip this one. We still love you, but if you're playing and we start getting into something that you don't want to get into, where the X card is going to be used at this table. So because there's no actual table and there's no actual card, all you have to do is like cross your arms over your chest so it looks like an X, or just make an X with 2 fingers, or even just say X card. Yeah. Edge watch. That's all fair and good. And I'll try and keep my eyes sort of up here to see you guys. And if you ever need to tap the X card, then that's totally fine. All right, so we have our cast of characters. We have you guys standing beneath the grayish white skies, the weeping willows, the heavy laden with moss, swamp trees around you on all sides, sort of at the mouth of the swamp. How do you wish to proceed in finding this tower? I mean, here you are. Your map said come to this spot. Now, do each one of you guys have? Each one of you guys should have some rations on your character sheet. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the House Proctor understands that it's going to take you guys some time to do this, so they have given you enough rations so that you now have enough for 5 days total. So however many you had, subtract that from 5, and that's how many they gave you. However, you've now expended 2 of them on the way here, unless of course you're just not eating, but do let me know that. And so that I can feel free to penalize your dice rolls.
Say that one more time, because I started off with 3. So they gave me 5.
You started off with 3, so they were giving you 2, so that you would have 5 total. And then
it's been 2 days.
You spent it 2, so you still have 3. Does that make sense?
I think I'm going to take a hit that Brinta has only eaten 1 day of rations over 2 days.
Okay.
Because it seems like Brinta does not like to eat.
Okay.
In fact, being satiated is a sign of weakness to Brinta, and you really need to keep yourself on edge if you are to look nothingness in the face.
Wow, nice.
He's great at parties, by the way.
Doubtlessly.
Yes.
Doubtlessly. I hope. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So so you're standing here. You're feeling a little bit malnourished, Brinta. Yet the hunger of your soul is what the gods see. The hunger of your body is meaningless.
Well, there are no gods. That's the problem.
Oh, holy shit. Wow. All right. So how do you intend to how you intend to find the tower, guys?
Is there on this map that we were given a map, or just told
a map
to go
to
in
the
a direction?
swamp? You were given a map to the swamp, and so here you are at the swamp.
Right.
And that's all you've been told.
Is there any other defining features on or near the swamp? Like a high place we could perhaps look out over the swamp?
Let's see. Let me take a look here at the map.
I mean, obviously, if it's a day away, I don't want to go there. We'll just climb a tree and see if we can see it in the swamp.
Right now, because the region that you're in is not particularly mountainous. It's hilly, but it's not mountainous. So you don't think that there's. You'd have to walk like a couple miles to get to a hill region, and then you could climb a tree. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I'll climb a tree and see if I can see it from, above. Try to pick a tree that's tall. We're on the edge, so there should still be normal.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I love it.
Yeah.
So, is anybody going to help Gotven, or Gotven? Do you feel like you've got this on lock? Are you a tree climber? What kind of experience do you have with this in your past?
I was a city dweller all my life, so I don't really know how to climb a tree, but I figure I can figure it out since I climbed many a gutter in the slums. So
Nice. I fucking love it. All right, so you go ahead and you scale the trunk of the tree, and you're actually finding that it's on some level much easier in certain ways than scaling like a gutter, and you get yourself to the top and look out over the canopy of the swamp, and while it just looks to you like a bunch of fucking trees, you do notice that from this dream that they told you about with the ravens circling, right? You can actually see many of these beings, many of these animals flying over the swamp. And what's kind of interesting is that they all seem to be sort of heading in one direction, right? So you can see them coming in from your left, and they're heading towards what you are sort of beginning to picture as the center of the swamp. And there's some flying over your head, and they're looking like they're going to go meet their friends. So you have this. At this point, you feel like you have this kind of bearing on where the center of the swamp is. Does that make sense?
Okay. I yell down. It seems like they're going, and I point. I kind of like raise my arm in that direction and like point. Basically, I'll point my sword in that direction and then resheath my sword just in case I fall and kill myself while coming down the tree. Because I've seen many other scumborn fall off of gutters, so I'll at least communicate that to my compatriots. So I will then proceed to climb down the tree.
All right, great. What do you guys do with this information? Well, all you talk amongst yourselves. Go ahead and speak in character, if you wish.
Brinta stoops down to Isolation, who is this small but very ferocious terrier mix that looks as muddy as the swamp, and whispers to the dog, "Go fetch the vermin," and instructing the dog to go kind of follow the trail of whatever creatures are heading in a particular direction, so we can see the best way through.
Okay. Does the dog understand how that works?
I don't know.
All right. Well, you know
but
what?
He does command, according to the stats, he does only obey me. So I assume there are certain commands that will work. Has he used this command before? Probably not.
The dog scampers off in a direction that Gotven, when you are down on the ground and you see the dog scampering away, it seems relatively close to what you think, because now that you're down here, it's a little bit disorienting. The sky itself is very difficult to because of this kind of like low, sort of always churning white gray cloud cover. It's very difficult to isolate like where the sun is at any given moment, especially through the trees. I
will pick a tree. I will pick a tree or a feature of the land that's in the direction I vaguely think we're going in. I mean, I understand the dog is probably going in the right direction, but I will pick a feature as far as I can see, and then I will say, well, we should head, follow it. But I think as long as we stake around in that area, I think we should be able to at least go vaguely in the right direction.
Okay, so you guys start walking forward, and the hours begin to creep by in the swamp, and as you work your way through the mud and the muck, the ground becomes continually like more sodden, and the mud begins kind of like sucking at your feet, and you begin to see more and more signs of kind of like crawling insect life, like big fat cockroaches crawling up the sides of trees, fanning just like huge leathery wings, and centipedes kind of like coiling up trees and branches. Just kind of like each one of these creatures sends a sort of like atavistic shudder down your spine, because they are so intrinsically repulsive in this place. And yet you see no animals. But the dog continues to kind of like pull you guys forward until you feel as though you're walking along parallel to a body of water. The air here is very, very thick and heavy, and there's a stench here that is acute. But it looks like it's maybe, say, a few yards through the trees. You can kind of see these shimmerings kind of coming off of the like through the trees. But the dog seems to be moving parallel to it, not towards it. Does this cause you? At this point, do you like change tact? Does anybody want to explore that? What do you do? Go ahead, Gabe. Sorry.
Yeah, I'd like to. I would say that kind of noticed that. Erm's general attitude of this, he's going to be a bit of an edgelord in that he's so used to just kind of hanging out in his cave and doing this that a task like this is more like when you get assigned a group project, you're like, I don't want to do that. Like, just let me do it all. That's kind of like his mindset. So he's going to kind of see everybody meandering through the swamp, and his general attitude is like, you guys don't even know what you're doing. This is my domain. This is like where I was cast out, blah, blah, blah. So he's going to pick up kind of like on that like pool. And I want to do a presence test to see if I notice anything more than just, oh, it's a body of water. Like, so.
Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
Cool. Unfortunately, that's like one of my not so good skills. So that is that's a 5.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It just looks like as you're kind of so are you breaking away from the party? Is that what I'm hearing?
It's walking, but like giving attention to it, and maybe even slowing my pace just so that I'm maybe like a little bit behind them, but I'm not like heading towards that way. I'm just kind of slowing my pace and then actually studying that body of water.
I'll say that because you're slowing, and essentially, how when you're like walking next to trees and they kind of like, because of the perspective, they sort of like they make it hard to see through the trees. Because you've slowed down, you're able to see more clearly, and you do in fact see that there's a body of standing water there, and it's hard to see the water itself because there's so much kind of like surface level like growth upon it. There this kind of like these thick green and yellow kind of almost like swamp slime seems to float upon the back of the water. That's what I'm gonna say.
Okay, so I'm gonna look to the party and go, fools, are you just going to follow your dog and put full trust in it? Do you not notice the water over there?
Oh, it does speak.
I saw the body of water, but this is still vaguely in the direction. And I mean, I suppose I could climb another tree and see if we could see a tower from here. But I mean, we've only barely walked a few miles, and I could see that far over the trees, and there was no tower. I mean, the body of water, if there's a tower here, there has to be a source of water for it, I suppose.
I just find it a bit interesting you would put full trust in a beast and not.
If you wish to wash yourself, I would not object.
Indeed.
I just kind of like stare at you and then just continue looking in the direction of that pool. My mindset is kind of we've been following the dog for a while and nothing's happened. I'm a bit agitated that like we haven't reached there already. Because again, I'm kind of like I just want to get this over with, and go back to my cave. So, yeah, I just kind of want to bring up that pool of water.
All right, so after you guys are kind of having this conversation, and you can hear in the distance, suddenly you're kind of like interrupted by the barking of the dog. You can hear it kind of off to your left in the direction that you were going, and it's making that kind of like, because it's a very small dog, right? So it's like yapping, and it's calling your attention. What do you do?
Isolation, come. I'm not going to move very fast. I'm going to try to call the dog back.
Okay. So the dog does come run back to you.
Like tail wagging or?
I'm trying to imagine like what a dog that is accustomed to. I guess the dog comes back to you, and like its mouth is red, and from its teeth hangs a rat, a big giant fat swamp rat. And it's the limbs of the rat still are kind of like twitching as it slowly dies in your dog's mouth.
Delicious.
We have some supper if you would like to take a rest.
Well, I think we can make a little more time while there's light. But, if you would like to stop and eat that, then...
Eat the rat.
Very well. We can look at this body of water that seems to be insisting upon.
So is that what you guys are planning to do? Is somebody going to like make a fire and cook up the rat? Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, I mean, he did catch it for us.
I kind of want to kneel down and just kind of like scritch the dog's head with my like the claws on my glove. But I also kind of want to look at the rat and see if there's anything odd about it, or if it's literally just like a swamp rat.
But from what you can tell, it is a rat of the swamp. So it means like in terms of its species, it's like different than what you find in a city. But it's also on some
it's like
level,
the mutant cockroaches we saw. It's a little bit odd, but
yeah. And Brinta's idea is not a bad one, which is that like it's very fat. And so there's enough meat on it that you could actually eat this thing, although it would no doubt be repulsive.
I don't know. They'd be cleaner than out in the city.
Yeah. That's true. I just don't know how what kind of delicacy the meat of a rat would be,
Well, let's go look at this body of water and then see if we can see anything across it or down it. It would be a clearing that perhaps this tower is not as majestic as they were dreaming, and merely a low, squat tower.
Has it ever occurred to any of you that there is no tower? They were dreaming it.
Oh yes, but we have no choice.
Oh yes, I've gone through this process before, and it's quite ironic to me. You see, I am apparently a heretic for wanting to take the left-hand path. I became one with the caves. Maybe now I become one with the swamp. Nothing's going to change except for my locale, but yes, I do humor your brilliant idea. And then I just kind of like roll my eyes and then, look towards the body of water that we are now going to investigate.
Oh man. Brutal.
I kind of want to come off as a prick. In case
it's working. It's working.
And
I just want to say.
Yeah, I'm just like they just like push you into the water and they're like, he died.
Well, I wanted to bring
no
something
tower and he
different,
died. What can
I
I
generally play like a nicer person, and for this one, I'm like, it's Mork Borg. I kind of want to come out of my comfort zone, so I'm playing kind of a dick.
I think Brinta's like weighing like his heresy versus Erm's heresy. And like, well, Caves and swamp, nihilism.
Yeah.
Nihilism.
There's so many heresies. I just feel like you guys got to determine who's the bigger heretic.
It's funny because like I was telling a buddy how I was going to be playing this, and he's like, "Oh, what's the game?" And I showed him the book, and I'm like, "There are so many upside down crosses in this book, man. Like this book rules."
All right, so you guys are kind of heading over to the water, and it really becomes kind of clear to you, Gotven, that at this point you have been kind of traveling like east for a while. You were traveling north, but then the dog has kind of diverted you east, and you've actually been walking parallel to the water for probably longer than you would have thought. And you now find yourself that if you want to continue forward to like get to the to that center of the swamp, the center of the swamp is like clearly inside this pool of water somehow, and you're able to verify this by like looking up, and you're able to kind of see the birds overhead, like passing overhead towards what you made to be the center. But the water, you can kind of, I mean, it doesn't move. Right, it's almost still, kind of like laps at your feet just ever so slightly, and like if you stand too long on the shore of the swamp, your boots begin to just slowly sink. How do you intend to overcome this?
I just remembered that I have a small wagon.
Nice.
So we can
I guess I've been toting this even though it wasn't in my head until now.
Well, I point to the birds. That is the omen I was following. These ravens seem to be going towards the center of this, and now I can see it looks like the center of this body of water. So perhaps we have to at least wade into this murky morass.
Take some meat. Not meat. What? Peat. That's the word I was looking for. Just take some peat, patch up this wagon, and use it as a boat.
That sounds better than walking in this terrible, unseeable, murky water.
I have seen the centipedes. I do not want to see the leeches.
Agreed.
Beaches, yeah.
So I guess I'm going to try to, peat up this wagon and see if it'll float.
So, but the wagon's not like part of your inventory, right?
Yeah, it says small wagon.
Well, you got a dog and a small
Here we go.
wagon? Like
Yeah, his character's OP.
I got
an exquisite perfume. Like
You got perfume. I got salt.
All right.
sweet.
Well, this is fucking awesome. This
Oh,
is
by the
this-
way, guys, I just happen to have this plate mail.
And a glaive? What's a glaive?
I mean, is it
You're
big
gonna-
enough for all of us to get in? That's the
I don't know.
question.
It says a small wagon, so I kind of doubt it.
Yeah.
It's probably something we'd have to like.
I wonder if
I
it's
also
like
have rope.
okay, serious like table question. I wonder if it's like a small like one donkey, one person wagon, or if it's like a radio flyer, like where you like pull.
I had radio flyer in my head.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, is that I can't imagine, like, what, like, if you're like, imagine like a kind of medieval, like, feudal society, why would somebody build a radio flyer style wagon? Like, it seems like that wouldn't be practical.
It's for the dog. It's where the dog sleeps.
Is it? I'm
There's like
just
put a bed in
imagining.
there for him,
I kind of suspect that this is one of those ones that has like two wheels and that you pull with like your arms, almost like a rickshaw, but like it's more practical.
Yeah.
So, are you happy with that? Or-
Sure. Yeah. I mean, there should be enough materials to kind of fashion, like a barge style boat, maybe with peat. But it
No,
could probably
I love
not,
it.
probably not be big enough for all of us. So we might have to do it in turns, I guess. But I don't know.
I love it. I think it's great that you guys are going to deconstruct this wagon and like turn it into like this like floating skiff that you're going to like lash your destinies to. I'm going to go ahead and say that the process of deconstructing and then reconstructing the wagon into a skiff that you can use is gonna take you like well into the evening, and that like you've had to like take off your shirts and you're like sweating, and they're like there's one of you that's like going and harvesting peat, and another one of you is like packing it together, and you're arguing about how to fucking do it, and there's like mosquitoes like landing on your backs and like eating you up, and you, on some level, you guys kind of become so consumed by this toil that you kind of look up and realize that the sun is like sinking behind the trees. That like the twilight has descended, and you're no closer to the tower than you were previously. Are you going to establish a watch, or do you feel fairly certain that you guys exist in this swamp alone?
I invite the darkness.
Yeah, I would recommend a watch, but at the same time, just based off of the description I got, I'm pretty much like always for the call of the night. So, or I'm always calling for the night. So I wouldn't mind like being first watch or however you guys want to do it, or what.
I mean, yeah, I guess I kind of want to know like the details of your camp. Are you going to make a fire? Are you going to like establish a perimeter, or are you just going to kind of like pull like leaves over your bodies and like try and blend in? What's your methodology here?
I could see. What temperature is it? Is it hot swamp? Or are we dealing with like this cold, sweaty thing?
Yeah, I feel like the temperature fluctuates kind of weirdly. I think that sometimes, like when you came into it, it was like cold and kind of a chill place. But then as you were working on the cart, it became kind of like piss warm and irritating. And as the sun sinks, the chill is returning.
And I imagine that the insects on the ground, I mean, given the environment, it might be best to sleep in trees.
Well, they climb trees.
Oh, yeah, but that's true.
Yeah, that's true. And insects do love night.
I would much prefer to just press on even in the dark.
Oh, that is
Okay, I'm with you.
Yeah,
I'm with
we
that
can
too.
make torches
I was gonna say-
and like make torches and press on. Like I would
Yeah.
much rather not sleep on this ground with whatever creatures that are willing to come and greet us that have not yet.
Yeah, I was
Call
gonna
it
say
sleep.
the one thing I'd probably disagree with is actually like camping, at least for now, because I basically have like the worse things get around you, the fancier you need to be. So I kind of interpret that as like the more chaotic shit gets, the more like focused I get. So
All right. Well, I think this is like this is a really brass move on the part of some OSR gamers. So,
right.
so does one of you have a torch in your inventory?
Let's see here. The
think
answer
that-
is no, but I'm fairly certain I could use my
one of you have a-
metal file to start a fire. So
Yeah. Okay, so you can probably find something that will burn here, and then we've already established that there's some kind of like peat type stuff that probably will burn, right?
yeah.
And I imagine finding a hole that will kind of push the skiff across the water is going to be of no issue either. So the three of you mount the skiff, and who's pushing the skiff at this point? Who wants to be in charge of that? And then who wants to be in charge of holding the torch, and who wants to be in charge of pushing the skiff?
I'll hold the torch.
All right.
I am really short, so pushing
I
the
have to
skiff
do it.
is not. I can use the pole, but like
Christ.
It was my boneheaded idea. I guess I'll
yeah.
I'll do the push.
So the balance of the cart is precarious. All right. The two people who are not pushing the skiff find that they have to kind of lay face down on the cart with the peat in their face, holding the torch as aloft as possible, while Brinta pushes the skiff through the now black water. And with the plummeting temperature has come like a kind of like eerie silver mist that sort of rolls across the black water, and the light from Erm's torch kind of casts these huge shadows and reveal the kind of like the roots coming out of trees and the branches overhead, as you kind of float by little small islands in the scum water, and with no birds overhead to guide your way, you're just kind of pushing your way forward through the water and hoping that this is in some kind of direction. You do every so often hear the sound of like a fish like jumping up to grab an insect, or you see in the distance like large pairs of eyes that sort of like just sit just right over the surface level of the water, observing you, kind of reflecting kind of coppery and gold. And you push, you see some of them and you're like, oh wow, that must be a rather large amphibian. And then the eyes blink and they move under the water, and you feel the ripple that kind of goes through the swamp water, and you feel the skiff kind of riding over it, and you realize that the being that just disappeared must have been Leviathan in its proportions. Until finally, right when Erm's arms are so like just shaking, holding the torch aloft, surrounded by just a cascade of flies and moths and mosquitoes. Just, you know, you can actually feel their little bodies like burning up and falling on your head. Do you come to an island, and at the center of it stands a very modest black tower. So what do you do?
Well, for once, they actually foresaw something. Perhaps,
I would say... Oh, sorry.
Perhaps there is something to this one. Maybe not. We'll see.
Yeah, I'd say that like the whole time that I was like shaking and holding onto that torch with like the flies buzzing, you could probably see just from my eyes that he was just like grinning the entire time. Like he loves being this miserable. And when we like make landfall on that island, and Gotven says, you know, maybe there is some truth to it, I would like take a step off into the murky black water and go, well, maybe they haven't thrown us to the side yet again.
I think during the entire journey, Brinta was singing an old psalm, as sort of a slow, low chant, but it's one of those like end of the world kind of passages about how, you know, things fall apart, it always decays. The sleeping one will awake, you know, that kind of cheery sort of melody. And once I cross, we'll feed a bit of the rat to isolation. Thanking for being a good boy. Who's a good dog? Who's a good dog? You are.
Who's the most doomed dog ever?
So you bring the skiff kind of onto, it's not even really like a beach. It's like this tower appears to be built on this kind of like this jutting mass of earth that sticks out in the center of the lake, and all around it are these gnarled roots that kind of form its border, right? And you're able to use the roots to sort of pull yourself up to the island, and then kind of holding on to them to sort of like heave the skiff up onto the island itself. The island's incredibly small. It's like perhaps 100 feet across, and the tower is nothing like it was described in the dream. It's very dumpy. It's almost featureless. About 3 stories tall, but perhaps up to 40 feet high. The stone in the dark by the light of the torch is black, and appears kind of wet and slick. There are no crenellations at the peak of the tower, and its walls are kind of strangely angled, as though it is wider at the bottom than it is at the top, giving it a not entirely cylindrical appearance. There are 3 windows that you can see as you kind of walk around it. One that appears to be on what you'd call the above ground level, and then another above that, and then a third above that. They're not in a straight line. You actually have to kind of like walk around, and the windows appear to sort of like coil up. But they are, relatively close to one another because the circumference around the tower is not great. There is a door, a wooden door at the base of the tower, and the thick swamp grasses, rich green. There's a beaten path that walks up to it, but even that is looking kind of like overgrown. What do you do?
Can you describe the windows one more time? I was trying to write all that down. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. So there's 3 windows, starting what looks like on the second floor. The windows are maybe about like 3 feet high and then 2 feet wide. They are black within, and they do not have shutters. So they're narrow, and then kind of they have an arch at the top.
Okay. I would turn, and I'd kind of just like taking this all in. So like if you kind of have to like, I guess like picture some kind of image, imagine just like this robed, filthy heretic holding a torch, just kind of looking and taking everything in. And I'd say I'd turn to Brinta, and for the first time this entire trip, I look and kind of just nod and go, well, maybe your dog had the right sense. I'll take that as a victory for you. What say you? Should we wander down the path and see what this tower has to offer?
He is a good boy. Very well. And yeah, so we should go. Of course he likes my dog.
Never mind.
Is it my understanding that you guys are just going to walk up to the door? That's your first thing you do.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine Brinta like trying to scale the tower.
Yeah.
He's too important for that.
How about can we do like a quick like walk around?
Yeah. I
Sure.
imagine you guys have walked around the circumference
Okay.
of the tower. So and that was what I was kind of trying to say about the windows, is that they aren't in a line above it. They're kind of like coil. The windows coil, and I'm gonna have to say that there's probably like 2 windows on, like each floor seems to have 2 windows that are directly across from one another, and so does that make sense? Are you guys seeing what I'm saying? Does it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see one on one side, but you have to circle to see the other one on the other side.
Yeah, but that does mean that like if you're on the kind of like curved plane, and say you were like looking out of one of the windows, you'd be able to put your head out and see one of the other ones kind of like nearby. Does that make sense?
It's like, this is a goofy comparison. It's like a Rapunzel tower where it like kind of like turns and curves is how I'm picturing
It's
it.
completely a Rapunzel tower. It's 100% a Rapunzel tower.
Okay, where it's like it's curving and you can go like, oh,
Yeah.
hi, and then that person has to look down. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
They're like, what up, Rapunzel? And
Yeah.
So yeah, 100%.
kind of like a unicorn's horn where it like twists.
Exactly. I was gonna say it's
Yeah.
kind of like as if you had like silly putty and you were twisting it, but yeah, exactly. That's a unicorn's horn. So so you guys are gonna your first thing you're gonna attempt to do is approach the door. Okay, so you walk up the path, and the door itself is like not what you would call ornate by stretch of the imagination. There's what's it called, like the lintel of the door or whatever is made of stones, and the door itself appears to be made of wood banded with like iron, and there's a ring upon it for opening or pushing or pulling the door open. The wood itself appears to be kind of like old and in disrepair, but also sodden and sort of splitting. The craftsmanship of this tower is not so great that you would expect the lines of the door to like match up super perfectly. It's not like airtight by any stretch of the imagination, but the kind of cracks that are within it do not expose any light. No, there's like no light coming out from underneath it or through any of the little cracks.
I would like. Okay, sorry. If you ever play with me, you'll know that my notes are super meticulous. It's from my OSR background. I write fucking everything down.
Good man.
I would like to do a presence test, and I'm basically kind of going to be looking. I would say, if I had to compare it to other games, it'd kind of like be an investigation. Like I'm kind of checking for traps. I don't want to just like open this door and then just like this giant gauntlet comes out and just punches my face in or something.
Yeah, but that's the thing, my friend. This is an OSR game, so there's really no checking for traps. The way that you check for traps would be to describe how it is your character would look for traps.
And which is what I was going to do. I was just telling you that's what I'm doing the presence test for.
Well, yeah, but I don't want you to make a test. I want you to tell me what you do.
Okay. Yeah. So Erm is going to look at the door and just kind of go, I'm going to make sure. So I'm going to take my short sword. I'm going to grab it by, again, that like decayed wrist, mummified wrist. And I'm going to take it and I'm just going to kind of like poke and then also kind of like run it along the sides of the door. Kind of like poke it into the crack, twist. Literally just kind of like an old man investigating a car, just kind of like poke, like things like that. Like I'm trying to see, like, do I hear any kind of cog work when I poke on certain parts of the door or maybe the framework of the door? So
awesome. Perfect. Yeah. Okay. So you're able to reveal a lot about this door in this way. So, you first of all, you touch the door with the sword. Nothing happens. When you put the sword through essentially the crack in the side of the door, you're able to run it freely up and down until you get to about the middle, and you can tell that the door is barred from within. So there is a locking device, and the locking device is on the other side of the door. You can tell that it's a bar because it's kind of thick, right? So you suspect, based on going above it and then below it, and there's about a 6-inch gap, you suspect that it is a piece of wood laid down rather than a piece of metal that has been thrown. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So with that, well, first I should ask, is there anything else, or is that's what I find?
That's it.
Okay. So with that, PDFs. There we go. Okay. So as I described he's very thin and frail and almost wispy in nature with his emaciated look. I'm going to turn to the party and kind of smile. And then from behind my face covering, I'm just going to laugh and go, "It's barred by a simple plank of wood. Who here would like to help us break through this threshold?"
Would we not announce our presence first? Do we wish to intrude and trespass?
Have we not already trespassed?
Onto the front yard? Oh, not yet.
Yeah, but that's how I'm just going to respond. Is just, we're already here, might as well. So, yeah, I'm just going to kind of point out and run the sword down and then run it up and kind of just visually show, there's that plank of wood there.
Well, we are here to see what's inside. And while it being planked from the inside either means someone is home or they've died inside, and when they were barred inside, one of the two. So something is on the inside, as I see no way out of this unless you like jump out of a window or off the top of this tower. But I mean, I'm not opposed to knocking, but I don't see what good could come from it.
We'll be announcing our presence either way.
Yes. When the wood clatters to the ground, it will announce someone is here.
Besides, and I kind of like pull my sword, from the door and then kind of resheath it. And I go, the weather is so dreary, and we just happen to be near this tower. Maybe we just tell them, we just were looking for a place to stay on a small island away from everything.
This is not beneath me. I knock.
So you start knocking on the door. All right, you can actually hear there's like a sound of it's not like an echo or anything, but you can tell that you're not knocking on like a solid surface. You can tell it's hollow from the way that it sounds. But even if you stand there for a couple minutes, kind of like shuffling your feet, waiting, there is no answer to the door. Nor is there like the sound of any kind of like movement behind it, or no. And at no point do you see like a light emerge from the tower windows.
All right.
Conscience is at peace. Let us open.
Yes.
Although
All right.
I don't know how we're gonna do that.
Well, what do you guys think?
Just
Open the door?
Put the sword in and then push it up.
Yeah,
Push
that's what I was going to say.
against the board.
Yeah, all it takes is two. My dude's strength score is like, so like I would probably just stick my sword in and then be like, all right, you two just lift up.
Yeah. So that's an easy point of physics for both of you, for the three of you to accomplish together. There's no roll necessary, and you guys satisfyingly hear the sound of the like a clatter inside of like the falling wood, and the door is free to open. What do you do now?
Open it.
All right, so you push the door inward, and inside, and this is going to sound so fucking bad. You guys are going to be like, this is the biggest cop out in the world, Brendan. It was all a dream. No kidding.
Oh my God. I would just leave.
Inside, you just see darkness. Okay. Like you don't see, like a room. Okay. No moonlight in a room. You see darkness.
Well, you bring the torch in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'll just like kind of do one of these.
So when you do that, you see the torch kind of like go in to the darkness, right? And it kind of like, it doesn't illuminate anything. It's almost just kind of like taking a torch and shoving it into like a otherwise devoid space, until if you kind of like your furthest you have it reaching in, then it sort of begins to diminish, as though like less of the fire is showing. Like it's almost like a small little nub. But then when you pull it back out, the fire reemerges.
So the darkness is swallowing that source of light.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. What do you do?
Don't think that Brent is afraid of this because, his whole MO is oblivion. So I think he's just going to walk in.
All right. Brinta walks in, and you guys, and essentially Brinta just vanishes into the darkness. Okay, so you guys cannot see Brinta anymore. Brinta, when you cross the threshold into the darkness, you find yourself in a small room that is, let's say, about 20 feet across. It is really very small. And at the center of it is a stairwell, okay? It coils up, but you can also see that it coils down, okay? You're standing on cut wood, that has kind of like square tiles, and the room is otherwise kind of like nondescript. There's the walls are made of like the nice cut stone bricks, and then there's that's all you see. That's all you see for right now. Is essentially you're in a room that's only 20 feet across, okay, with a stairwell cut from stone that coils up and a stairwell cut from stone that coils down, like almost like a corkscrew. Does that make sense?
I am on a stair landing. There is nothing else here. It appears to be safe.
Do you say that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The two of you do not hear that. I'm sorry. What are you guys doing? What are Gotven and Erm doing?
Brinta, are you there? Oh,
I said it's a landing.
well, the question would be, can he hear me?
He
Okay.
cannot.
All right.
There's silence. So you're basically standing in this room alone. You see that it is still night, Brinta, and the room is lit by like these kind of brightly glowing candles that kind of give the room like a sort of like a effervescent quality. They almost cast a sort of rose-colored hue on the walls of the room, with the door being at your back.
How many steps did it take to get into this room? Is it just like I just stepped into the darkness and here I was, or was it a few steps?
It was 2 steps, one in and then one out.
All right, I'm going to lean back with one arm and just kind of reach out, and hopefully my arm appears on the other side, and then I'm going to do the come here finger wiggle.
Yeah, okay, so you guys can see this disembodied hand being like...
I'll look at Gotven and go, well, I guess he's alive.
That's a surprise, but we'll see what else this tower holds.
I was going to also ask, is there a green devil face anywhere near this door?
No. But there's a big sign that says, all PCs will die. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, sick.
I will walk into the darkness.
Okay, you walk into the darkness, and you find yourself in the room with Brinta.
I'm also going to.
All right, great. So all 3 of you are in the room now. You all know what the room looks like. What's your plan from here?
Give me 1 second. I'm going to take these out. These are actually like bugging my ears, so 1 sec.
Sure.
Yeah. I think we should go up, as it seemed like there wasn't very much up before descending below.
Okay, so is anybody going to okay, all right, so this is what your character says.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm going to let you guys talk. Sorry.
Yeah.
I need to fetch my dog.
Oh,
I can go back and get
I'm assuming
isolation.
you're holding your dog. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you took the walk into oblivion with your dog in your arms.
yes.
Yeah. And leave him behind.
Yes, I think journeying up will be at least a shorter trip to know what is there before journeying down into whatever is below us.
Very good.
What do you have to say to that? Anything?
So, can you describe that landing once more?
Okay. So you're standing in a room. It's about, let's say, 20 feet across. It's actually kind of small. Let's say it's like 15. It's like 15 in radius, 15-foot radius. From in the center of the room, there is this stone stairwell that is like a corkscrew, right? So it's like it has one side leading down and one side leading up. Okay, and it coils up. And there's no like handrail or anything. It's kind of like you kind of got to be a little bit small and kind of walk up steps. But you're
like
not
a bell tower.
Yeah, it's not the fucking weirdest thing you've ever seen, but it is very small and kind of cramped. There's the kind of pink candles kind of illuminate the room, rose candles, and there's this kind of like flat, dry, cut stone under your feet, kind of like the grit of the kind of like sand and like the particles you brought in with you, kind of like the grind under your boots in this room. And that's all. Now I'm describing this room as you see it with the three of you standing in the doorway with your backs to the door. So if you have anything else that you want to learn, because this is an OSR game and we don't always play OSR games, you have to tell me what you are doing.
I will kind of start walking around the room slowly, maybe with my sword out and kind of like at length, kind of tapping in front of me, just as a general, like, making sure that the boards are not gonna, or, well, it's stone, so, but if there's anything odd, I will tap on it before walking on it. So
Okay, so you're walking and you come as you turn, just kind of like around the corner of the what's it called? Fucking stairwell.
room. Yeah.
You see that there is a window. Okay, now you remember from the bottom of the
Right. There's no window.
There's no windows. When you approach the window, you look out at it and you can see that it is night, and you can see the trees of the swamp. And you are very clearly at what you think to be the highest level of the
Tower.
tower.
The
The highest level meaning the highest window.
Right.
The third window.
Yes, but there is a stairwell going up still.
That is correct.
It,
Though you saw no crenellations above. It was just like flat.
the window appears to be at the top of where we think the tower is at. Yet there is still stairs going up. Though that could be to the roof, but to enter the bottom level and just being below the top would be not the weirdest thing, but
You're like, this seems normal.
this is just odd. So, location may be in question for the rest of this. And I will... Is the conditions outside look the same as the conditions looked outside when we were there? Okay.
In fact, you can kind of like look down, and you can stick your head out the window, and it works just fine. You can look out, look around, and you can see the
The skiff?
the skiff.
Oh, okay. All right. Just making sure that we hadn't...
I see it coming. I see what you're doing, and I'm helping you. I'm
Right.
helping you. The
Thanks.
GM is your ally, not your enemy.
Remains to be seen, but we'll continue on. So I would like to go up the stairs to see if we're truly on the top of this tower, or if what is beyond. If you would like to go downstairs, I completely understand, but
Yeah, I was gonna recommend we head downstairs, just because I want to see if there's like table talk wise. Like, what I'm thinking is, let's say something happens if we head upwards. There's a chance that we'll have to kind of like run out of the tower, and I'd rather like head down to see if there's some kind of like magical off switch to get rid of this like teleporter kind of thing.
I see.
But if you guys want to do something else, that's cool too. That's just what I had in my head.
What say you, Brinta?
It is I, once again, who must choose. I'm gonna take one of the candles off of the whatever candlesticks that are there, so that I have a light.
Okay, so as you are walking over to the candlestick, you see at the like farthest backmost point of the room, you see that there is a chair, a like finely carved chair with its back against the wall, and a like velvet cushion for like sitting, and then next to it is like a carved ornate book holder, and sitting upon the book holder is a book.
Oh, well, I can't not look.
Clearly.
You walk over to the book, and what do you do?
I look at is it open or is it?
The book is
closed?
open.
Is it open?
Yes,
All right. Well, I'm
yes,
just gonna
it-
look at what the words say on the page.
You can tell by reading the book, for even just but a moment, that this is a tome about the theory behind the art of painting. This is a book for painters. And you can tell, looking at it and being the kind of person who has an eye for value, that probably it's worth about 55 silver pieces.
There is a book of value here if anybody cares. I do not.
Is there any other books nearby?
Oh no, that is the only one.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take the book, and I'd say kind of being the magical dude he is, just kind of also wants to just keep flipping through it and see if anything jumps out.
Oh, there's just like all these beautiful illustrations in it, and it's just like, it would be worth more, but it seems like it's maybe kind of old, and it's like been sitting in this room, kind of exposed to the elements for a little while. But like, this thing is definitely worth a solid 55 silver pieces. You know what I'm saying?
It's insubordination of the eyes and the senses. There is no value to works like this that do not perpetuate thought. Rather try to make thought happen through a delusion of artistry and visualizations of things that are not. This is what causes our own annihilation in the name of gods. It should be burned, but if you want to sell it, I cannot stop you.
He would prefer to stoke the illusion of value and feed himself. So
I'll feed you your own foot if you continue on this track, friend. Now let's go up.
So says down, Brinta says up. What are you guys?
I want to go up. So
I'm gonna take the book, and I kind of watch this exchange between Gotven and Brinta. And I'm just kind of like smiling ear to ear, even though you can't really see it, because I thrive in chaos and like anger and as soon
I love your character's maniac grins, and plus with the way you vividly described what he looks like, I can really see it in my head. It's I think it's great. Thank you.
I look at that, and then I'm just gonna kind of like, as he says, I'm gonna shove your foot in your mouth, blah blah blah, and he heads out. I'm just gonna kind of like do one of these things, like, and then just pocket it, and then I'm gonna keep heading.
I'm imagining everybody has a backpack or a satchel or something. Just like take the book. You can go ahead and add the book on painting values 55 silver pieces to your inventory. All right, great. So has it been decided then that the party is venturing upwards then? Was that my understanding?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
I did grab one of the candles. I don't know if anything happens to me as a result.
Nope. You can add one pink candle, value being this is like a rose candle, rose gold. Values 4 silver pieces. This is a very nice.
Is my torch still going?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna pick that back up because I would have, set it down or whichever.
Now, okay, so you guys are gonna you guys have agreed to march up. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so you guys begin. You get into you kind of have to work your way into the stairwell, and you begin kind of walking up. You have to hunch your shoulders over, and you rise up into a kind of moment of darkness, as described previously. And when you step out, you step into a circular room that is about the same amount wide, 30 feet in diameter. This one also has cut stone tile floors, but the walls around you are made of completely rough-shod stones, okay? And they rise up over your head about 8 feet. And then above you is a cross-hatched kind of metal grill, okay? Running down the walls of the room is like a very, very thin trickle of swamp water. And the floor of the room is covered in almost like a half an inch of swamp water. And where the water kind of trickles, you can see like deposits of slime have just kind of like built up. And sort of scattered around the floor of the room is 3 dead corpses in various states of decay, all the way from skeletal to like mostly intact but still obviously being eaten by bugs. And there is no further stairwell. Okay. And as you step into the room,
You said your audio dropped out. You said, were they human corpses?
oh yeah, 3 human corpses.
Okay.
3 human corpses.
And then you said the metal grill is the roof, basically.
Go
metal grill
up
is
to
the
down.
roof.
Okay.
Yeah.
You go up to go down.
Seems like it.
Well, but because above you can see the sky and you can see the tree branches. So, and
Tree branches.
you can see the tree branches. Yeah.
Were there trees on the island that we were on?
No.
Okay.
No. And like when you step into the room, there is no door. You are now in this room with the grill over your head.
There's no the stairs have gone.
The stairs are gone.
Wonderful.
You've been trapped.
Wonderful.
You've been trapped, fools. Sorry.
What well, start walking towards the freshest corpse.
Okay. All right.
Did you
go ahead?
did you say that there's no door, there's no stairs? It's like we just crossed the threshold and now it's just the bottom of a bucket, essentially.
Yeah, you're in a bucket.
Okay.
You're in a pit. You guys are in a pit that is like the you don't really know how heavy the metal above you is, but it's not inconsiderable. So you're looking right now at your options, and here's your options for escaping. Okay, you either have to wiggle through one of the grills, all right, or you have to raise the metal and then pull yourselves out. Okay, but whatever kind of like extra dimensional magic was being used to build this tower has like shunted you away to like die in this basin. You're basically in a basin. Does it make sense?
That's creepy as shit. Side note, because there's a Twilight Zone episode about this, and
Oh, is
it
there?
always fucked me up. Yeah,
Oh,
being
sorry.
like trapped at the bottom of a bucket. So, I would. It's fucking terrifying because like it's literally the essence of being trapped. I would say that if anybody is looking at for the first time, his eyes actually start darting, and if you were to just like glance at him, you can tell he's like, all right, this isn't cool. I'm going to do a...
Oh, hang on. I think Gotven
yeah.
had said that he was approaching the freshest of the corpses.
Yeah, sorry.
Yes.
My mistake,
Oh,
my mistake.
So, Gotven, you walk over to the most fresh corpse, and you can see that this person is wearing like obviously kind of contemporary clothes, and you suspect that they may have been here from the Alabaster City at some point, and they got by this same exact thing. Like there's a bunch of kind of like insects on their face, like chewing through their cheek. You can see their teeth. The lividity shows that they're like still kind of fresh. Like maybe the coldness of the swamp has been preserving them. What do you do?
I will search them for any items of use or clues as to where they came from.
Oh shit! Hang on. I did that. That was a bad job, Brendan. That's not how you do it. Okay. Green is high. Okay. You find in this poor wretch's hand a leather coin purse. Okay, and he's like clutching this coin purse to his chest. His eyes like open and empty, like fucking like maggots writhing inside of like the pools of his skull. And when you peel back his fingers, breaking each one of them to get through the rigor, You take the coin purse out. It is heavy with coin, and inside you discover 32 gold pieces equal to 320 silver pieces.
Well, that won't save us, but it would be nice if we could get back.
Your first thought is, wow, that's a lot of money. And then your second thought is, I'm still in a basin.
Yep.
I kind of chuckle and I turn to Brinta and I go, you rave about gods and art, but you're not going to say a single word about stealing from a corpse?
Stealing from a corpse, there is no life. It belongs to no one.
I kind of chuckle and I pat you on the back and go, now I begin to like your thinking. And I want to go and investigate one of the other 2 corpses.
All right, this one's like medium desiccated, and you can't really tell what you get this feeling like the clothes that it's wearing remind you very much of like a soldier from like the war that just ended. So this person could have been here for some time. And you find, oh boy. you find probably like the most valuable thing that has been in this campaign yet. You find a hastily drawn map of the Rot Marches. So you now have your own Rot Marches map. You're like, holy shit, it's the fucking Rot Marches. I know where everything is. Like, no one tells me anything.
Can I ask a quick question? When I find that, can I just kind of like, because I imagine I'm like crouching down, kind of patting things down.
Right,
can I do one of the things where I'm like, I pull it out, I notice it, and then just pocket it?
Yeah, I'll allow it. I'll allow it.
Okay.
So
Make sure that's your inventory. I'm gonna want to make sure that one's like logged inside the character generator or whatever. Cool.
While others are desecrating corpses, I'm going to see if I can figure out the engineering of setting up a pulley with my rope to try to do an inverse simple machine to pull up the grate.
Okay. So, well. Okay.
I don't know if I'm smart enough for that.
No, I mean, because this is an OSR game. If you're smart enough for that, then your character's smart enough for that.
I'm not smart enough for that.
Your idea.
You can pretend like your character has the skills that you're smart enough to think of the idea. That's,
Right.
Right.
So how? My question to you is, how much rope do you have?
I have 30 feet.
All right, that's
Which
actually
seems about enough. If
that's
you like
actually
roped
not
it over
bad.
and kind of like
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. So let's see. The first thing you're going to want to do, because again, did you say that you were short? Are you the short one? No, that's Richard.
no, I'm pretty well. I have a good strength, so I'm picturing kind of stocky.
You have a pretty good strength. Okay.
Yeah,
so,
well, still not stocky because he's gaunt, but maybe tall.
What I'm going to say is that you jump up and you essentially kind of do a pull-up, right? So that you can put your head through the grill and you can kind of look around. And you're able to see in the distance the fucking goddamn tower. This is right over there. Right?
Fuck.
But you're also able to see all of these trees kind of like around you. Now, based on like how you like the way that the iron feels in your hands, you're like, fuck, this thing is heavy. This thing's like real shit heavy. And it's gonna be like this idea that you have could work, but it's gonna take some doing. There is not a branch over you, like directly over you, that is long enough or strong enough to manage this weight. Because as I've described, these trees are kind of limp. These are kind of these like limp swamp trees. But maybe you could try and get around like one of the ones like closer to the trunk. Does that make sense? Like the closer it is to the trunk, the more weight it'd be able to bear. Richard, I feel like you're about to say something.
Well, I was going to say, how close are the trees themselves to the edge?
You see, and that's the thing is the trees are actually very close to the edge themselves. Like I mean, you know. So
I was thinking of like you could if it had like, you know, a knot on the end of the rope, like one of those double back thick something that has some weight to it, right? If you threw it like parallel to the ground, it could wrap around the tree and come back into the grate, and you could grab. If you could get both sides of that, one of them tied to the grate, you could then just like pull, and it should at least slide the grate along the ground so we could get out on the other side. It won't lift the grate, but it will slide the grate if we all work together.
The grate, I will point out that the grate is recessed in.
Oh, okay. So then we would have to go there. You're right.
Yeah,
you'd have to go to the first branch to at least lift it enough that it could be dragged off.
Yeah.
Right. So
yeah.
I didn't know it was recessed.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. By discussing this, we are getting more details of the setting.
Yeah, I mean, it's a simple machine. It's really the only way I can see out. So,
I'm going to point out that, like, at this point, like, dawn is approaching, and you guys are fucking tired as fuck. Are you guys going to just continue pushing through, or are you going to take a rest?
I would say...
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, if we are going to rest, like, this seems like the perfect place.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, except for the fact that if the water level rises, we are in a bucket. So, you know, that would be, to me, the downside of sleeping in this bucket.
Does the swamp have tides?
Or those giant creatures moving the water up and, you know. But I don't think it should have tides, but I have no idea.
It could be in a brackish swamp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should rest. It's going to take some strength that we're going to do.
All right. I'm in for looking at the third corpse is what I'm in for.
Okay. So you're gonna loot the third corpse is what I'm hearing.
Well, before resting, you got to make sure there isn't like some sort of carrion beast inside of it, you know.
Chest burster.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. The third corpse is actually a skeleton. It's completely skeletal, and the only like fabric on it is just kind of like these little like wisps of cloth. And you find inside one of the pockets a piece of parchment that is incredibly hardy, and like written on it in like this beautiful hand script is a recipe to make a bakery confection.
This brings me, like, I am instantly thrown back to my days where I was beaten below the baker's table in my original home before I ran away into the slums. You can see in my eyes this like twitch of like the cruelty just kind of intensifies. I take
cruelty
this
intensifying.
Cruelty. I was trying to go for PTSD without being like.
You see a donut and immediately you want to pound ass.
Well, that's what happened. Is like the smell of baked goods makes me, flash back to when I was being beaten at a bakery.
Did you roll that? Is that part of the thing?
Yes, absolutely. That is one of my. It's one of my character traits. I didn't just make that up.
It's so weird how good these things work together.
So I have a recipe for baked goods.
Yeah, specifically scones.
Scones.
You have a scone recipe now.
That is useful.
I'm adding this to the note. He approaches the third corpse and finds a recipe to make a bakery confection. This infuriates him. It is in my notebook.
So, all right. Okay, so now do we want to try and get this machine that that Brinta has devised to work? How is it that you think you're going to be able to get the because Gotven has suggested lashing a something with some weight to it to the rope to help give it some momentum. You could use to create your pulley. What do the three of you have you can use for that?
Well, we do have a rotten human head. We could easily use that if nobody has anything more valuable, more heavy.
With more density to it.
Yes. I mean, I'm not going to say how heavy that bag of coin I have.
The bag of gold.
Yeah,
The bag of gold would actually be pretty good.
that would work really well, actually. But
Yeah, for this exact
that's
thing.
like plan 3. I would much rather use a human head.
I don't think there's any hesitation on Brinta's part because the soul doesn't exist after death. So,
How big did you say the gaps were between the metal grating? Because you said it's crosshatch, so it's
Right,
like
yeah. They're about a foot wide.
okay.
Can you?
So you can you can pull yourself up and you can stick your head through, look around, but I think maybe Brinta, because Brinta described himself as being like emaciated, like might have the potential to just worm his way out. But then that would call for a roll. I mean, here's the thing: the building of the pulley or worming your way out is going to call for a roll. So attempting to form like a human, like a stack of humans and push the thing up is going to call for a roll. So yeah. So go ahead, talk amongst yourselves.
So table talk. I can help with that because I have Speaker of Truths. So twice per day, use your wisdom, knowledge, advice, and inner calm to bring clarity to a creature of your choice, in this case, Brinta. The DR of the next test they undertake is lowered by 4.
Yeah, that's good.
Nice.
So if we want to try that, I'm basically like valuing these as like gold. If we want to try that and we want to like, lube you up and shove you through, I'm down because lowering a DR by 4 is like, that's jumbo.
Yes.
So
And it might
but
just be contortioning myself in a way. I have a pretty good agility. I'm assuming that's what it would be.
Yeah, that'd be agility.
I also have a decent strength. So, I mean, I think either the pulley system, which might be a strength. I'm not sure.
I would.
Or
Well,
agility.
the problem is you're going to have to lift this grate after you get out of it.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, right.
So you're still going to have to basically make the pulley. It's just going to be a heck of a lot easier than throwing the rope.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
But
Yeah.
it's still going to require a feat of strength of maybe all of us pulling on the rope to lift it. So you're likely to get injured if you don't get through that grate the first time. So I would say we should try the rope because we're not likely to lose the rope as long as we're all holding on to it to try and get it back.
Yeah. And then if that doesn't work, I'll try the climbing through the grate.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So you're gonna go ahead and so I still haven't heard like what are you planning on tying to the other end of the rope?
Pull the maggots and brains out of the head.
Oh, so
Shove the rope in.
okay.
Tie it really strong. Brinta, keep on calling Brinta. Brinta doesn't really care because the soul is gone and dead.
Sure.
This is just an object.
Yeah.
Right. So the goal is to toss it out and then try to do what with it? That's the only thing.
So
I'm curious
it
about.
should go over the branch and then fall back down, and then we can slide the rope down the branch, and that way it can be a little more. The branch won't
pulley.
break, and then we can tie the one end of it to the grate and pull on the rope and lift the grate.
I see now. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So I was thinking about it while we were discussing the plan, and we're getting into one of those GMing problems where I'm like, well, I'm gonna make that a test, but there's really no penalty for failure as long as you don't roll a 1. So eventually you're going to make it, right? And whatever I set the difficulty class at, like say I set the difficulty class at 20 and then the critical failure is 1, then it's like almost like a dice off to see like if you roll a 1 before you roll 20. That's the only thing you're like really testing for, because you're going to eventually get it. You're going to get it, right? So what I'm just going to say is, because you've been clever about this and OSR rewards cleverness, we're just going to move along to you guys having built the pulley, and I think that you guys just want to describe building the pulley and then lifting it up. Like, just go ahead and tell me what that looks like. Who wants to do it? Who wants to describe it?
Not me. Not my brilliant idea. I love it, but
I think Chris should. I think Chris, you should tell us what it looks 100%. Like, because it was your idea. Yeah.
And use our characters. So if you need to,
my Hero Academia is coming in from the other room, so I might shut the door here. But before I do, so the skull weight has been assembled, and at that point, Brinta pulls himself up, and he is way stronger than he appears. And it's probably more endurance than raw strength, but he's able to pull himself up. Tosses the skull. It actually takes several tries for it to come down in the right way. And I think on the first try, when lifting up the grate, the branch snaps, so he has to do it all over again on another branch. And the whole process takes a couple of hours to finally get it. But once he does, the grate is open enough for everybody to crawl through, but there isn't a lot of space. So basically, everybody needs to crawl over Brinta and then kind of help him out. I think there should be some sort of a loss, though. I think the whole thing is he has to get out, but loses his rope.
Oh yeah, the rope is toast after this, because my thought is that you could probably actually make it so that when you pull it up, somebody would be holding you from below, and you could tie it, so it would just be at that point it wouldn't be a pulley, it'd just be a loop, and then all three of you could climb out. But by the time you've done that, the rope is frayed and it's cut in certain spots and it's sodden and it's blown out, and you're just well, that rope's fucked, you're done. So at this point, we can say very easily that you have escaped the trap. Nice work, guys. Good thinking. I like it, and good teamwork. And your characters can return to the tower safely to resume exploring the tower.